What's good? You see it in the title, man. My final NFL mock draft. The Chill Ticks final mock draft. I've been talking prospects all this entire draft season on my TikTok and everything like that, man. Also my YouTube shorts. But here's where I give my final predictions on where I believe your favorite team or just teams in general in the NFL will be selecting with their draft picks this season. Before I begin this video though, please like this video, right? And also subscribe to the channel as well and comment down below what your thoughts are about my final mock draft. But the likes help out a lot. The more you like, the more this gets pushed down to the YouTube algorithm, and I would greatly appreciate that. And also my beacon links are available down below. Connect with me on all my platforms, especially on TikTok and Twitter. That's where I'm most active on. All right, man, let's get right into this. My mock draft, I'm going 1 through 31. Of course, there's only 31 picks in this year's draft because of the Miami Dolphins having to forfeit their pick due to the whole Brian Flores and Tom Brady situation they had going on this past offseason. But still, let's get right into it. With the first overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select quarterback Bryce Young out of Alabama. I know Frank Wright loves his prototypical style type quarterback, 6'3" and above, right? Guys that fit his type of mold when he was a quarterback in the NFL. But Scott Fitterer, the general manager for the Carolina Panthers, he's in love with Bryce Young, right? He believes that Bryce Young can really turn this franchise around. There's a lot of smoke with Bryce Young right now too. The betting odds have been shifting to Bryce Young instead of CJ Stroud. I do believe Bryce Young will be the first overall pick in this year's draft. With the second overall pick in this year's draft, the Houston Texans will select quarterback CJ Stroud. I've heard the rumors about them possibly, trying to build within Davis Mills still, or taking someone like Jalen Carter or Will Anderson Jr. with the second overall pick and then drafting a quarterback later with the 12th overall pick. No quarterback in this draft is better than Stroud in my opinion, especially if Bryce Young is gone. Go Stroud, D'Amico Ryans, you need a franchise quarterback. Stroud will be your guy. With the third overall pick in this year's draft, the Arizona Cardinals will select Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. Jonathan Gannon, he's a defensive-minded head coach, and his team needs so much help defensively. They were one of the league's worst last year, and they dealt with a lot of injuries, of course, but still, that defense was terrible. Also, with J.J. Watt leaving, they don't really have any other premier pass rushers they can really rely on. Jonathan Gannon, get your cornerstone edge rusher, in my opinion, Will Anderson. He will not fail you whatsoever. With the fourth overall pick in this year's draft, the Indianapolis Colts will select quarterback Anthony Richardson out of Florida. Jim Irsay and Shane Steichen have talked about developing a quarterback at this level. There's a lot of trade rumors about Lamar Jackson possibly being traded to the Colts. I thought that as well. However, with the Ravens signing OBJ in free agency, I think Lamar Jackson's pretty much going to stay put right there in Baltimore. So Shane Steichen, he's developed someone like Jalen Hurts, and I'm pretty sure Jim Irsay believes he can accomplish that goal again with Anthony Richardson. With the fifth overall pick in this year's draft, the Seattle Seahawks will select edge rusher Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech. 6'6", 6'7", has amazing bend, speed, and athleticism for his size coming off that edge. He's an elite specimen. We've seen someone like Trayvon Walker fly up draft boards last year due to his combine results. Tyree Wilson would probably test the same if he did participate in the combine. Honestly, he has a production to back up why he should be a top 5 pick. With the 6th overall pick in this year's draft, the Detroit Lions will select cornerback Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. Lions traded Jeff Okudah away. They did bring in guys like Emmanuel Mosley and also Cameron Sutton, and they could go Jalen Carter with this pick with the 6th overall selection. However, I personally believe they will go corner, get a physical guy, and also the best off-ball coverage corner in this year's draft in Devon Witherspoon. The 7th overall pick in this year's draft, the Las Vegas Raiders will select cornerback Christian Gonzalez out of Oregon. Now, the Las Vegas Raiders need help defensively, right? But their defensive line and linebacker core is pretty solid, but that secondary outside of Nate Hobbs is abysmal. They need to get a cornerback to the lineup opposite side of Nate Hobbs. I believe Gonzalez can be that guy. With the 8th overall pick in this year's draft, the Atlanta Falcons will select edge rusher Myles Murphy out of Clemson. Let's face it, man, the Falcons are terrible at getting into the passer. I feel as if the last 4 to 5 years they've been bottom tier in creating quarterback pressures. If you draft someone like Myles Murphy to pair alongside Calais Campbell and Grady Jarrett, it opens up so many rushing lanes for you to get after the quarterback, and Myles Murphy can be one of the spearheads in that defensive line group. Chicago Bears had the 9th overall pick in this year's draft, and I have them selecting defensive tackle Jalen Carter out of Georgia. Let's face it, Ryan Poles has been amazing this entire offseason, right? He traded away that 1st overall pick, got a bunch of compensation, plus DJ Moore to help his franchise quarterback in Justin Fields. I do believe he will strike gold once again. Jalen Carter's fallen on the draft boards due to his off-the-field issues, his poor testing at his pro day, and also not being able to participate in the combine because he had to go to jail. I do believe Jalen Carter will be the pick, and he will be a home run pick for the Chicago Bears in my opinion. opinion. Philly sits at pick 10. They have 2 picks in the first round, of course, but at pick 10, I have them drafting Bijan Robinson, running back out of Texas. They don't necessarily need to go running back right here. They have Rashard Penny, BJ Scott, but why pass up on a guy that's already a top 15 running back before he even takes a snap in this league, in my opinion? I think Bijan Robinson's gonna have a huge impact on this team day one. Him and Jalen Hurts in that backfield will cause mayhem for opposing rush defenses. Sitting at pick 11 is the Tennessee Titans, and they've been rumored to possibly trade up in this year's draft to select a quarterback. They've obviously giving up on Malik Willis, and I'm not in agreement with that whatsoever. However, going off the draft boards, going off the rumors of what they possibly be doing, been scouting quarterbacks pretty heavily in this year's draft. There's a QB on the board still. I have them going with quarterback Will Levis out of Kentucky. Coming in at 12, the Houston Texans are back on the board, and they have them going edge rusher Lucas Van Ness out of Iowa. This pick will be a staple into what DeMeco Ryans wants to run defensively. Lucas Van Ness is going to be a big edge rusher that can play inside and out, but if you want to put him at that end, he really reminds me of someone like Trey Hendrickson, who's kind of raw coming into the league, but if he can develop his pass pushing moves and also just his ability to stop the run, he can be very special in this league. Coming in at pick 13, the New York Jets are on the board, and there's so many rumors about them possibly just waiting after the draft to trade for Aaron Rodgers, right? Because they don't want to give up their first round pick. Now, I do believe they will go tackle right here, and I have them picking Peter Skoronski out of Northwestern. Coming in at 14, the New England Patriots are on the board, and they need to go wide receiver. There's been a lot of rumors about Mac Jones possibly being traded. He has no trade value in my opinion. I believe they're going to ride out with Mac Jones one more year, but you have to continue to build around him. You got guys like Dalton Schultz in free agency, but where are the wide receivers at? Jackson Smith and Jacobs on the board. I think he will be the pick. In my opinion, he's wide receiver 1. However, he will translate into a slot receiver on the next level. Bill Belichick, he's worked with phenomenal slots in the past, was Walker, Julian Edelman, and I think JSN can fit that mold easily. With the 15th overall pick in this year's draft, I have the Green Bay Packers selecting tight end Michael Mayer out of Notre Dame. Now, Jordan Love is the guy. You always want to get your young quarterback a security blanket, something he can rely on, and I believe Michael Mayer can be that guy year one. Coming in at 16, the Washington Commanders are set to make a pick, and I have them going Paris Johnson Jr. tackle out of The Ohio State University. The Commanders are always a hit or miss in the draft, in my opinion, man. You never really know where their mind is unless they have a top 5 pick. I do believe they go tackle with this selection. They have Andrew Wiley. They brought him in from the Kansas City Chiefs to play their right side. Bringing in Paris Johnson Jr. can be your left tackle, 2 bookend tackles to really protect either Jacoby Brissett or Sam Howell or whoever Eric Bieniemy trots out there week 1. Coming in at 16, the Pittsburgh Steelers are here to make their draft selection. I have them going quarterback Joey Porter Jr. Yes, the son of Joey Porter that used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers about 10 or so years ago. Joey Porter Jr. is arguably, in my opinion, cornerback 2 in this year's draft. He was cornerback 1 before all these other guys started blossoming throughout the season. He's a long range corner that can play outside and in. He's going to be phenomenal on the next level. He was a very good corner at Penn State. I want to say he had one of the best QBRs against the pass in the nation. I think he'll be an amazing pick for the Steelers, who desperately need cornerback play. The 18th pick in this year's draft, the Detroit Lions will be selecting tight end Dalton Kincaid out of Utah. This offense is already powerful in itself, right? You have Jared Goff. You brought in David Montgomery to pair alongside DeAndre Swift. You have Jameson Williams in year 2, when you have Josh Reynolds, and you also have your wide receiver 1 in Amon-Ra St. Brown. And also to go along with this great offensive line, now Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson have another toy to play with, and that is Dalton Kincaid, a versatile athletic tight end out of Utah who is still blossoming into that role. Coming in at pick 19, the Buccaneers are set to make their selection, and I believe they go tackle Broderick Jones Jr. out of Georgia. You already have Tristan Wirfs being your franchise right tackle. You didn't bring back Donovan Smith. You let him walk to free agency. He was getting old and pretty much a liability anyways. Broderick Jones Jr. can be a franchise left tackle, which means the Buccaneers will have 2 bookend tackles in Wirfs and also in Jones if he translates. Coming in at 20, the Seattle Seahawks are back on the board. I have them going quarterback Hendon Hooker out of Tennessee. Now, this isn't a favorable take. A lot of people, for some odd reason, are not too high on Hendon Hooker. I'm not sure why. I think he's going to be a very good quarterback on the next level. Yes, he's 25 years old. Yes, he has the ACL concerns, and he comes out of a gimmicky style offense, but that doesn't matter, man. He has great production to back up his talents. I believe he's coachable, and I think his best football is still ahead of him. And if you want to look at it in years past, we've seen older quarterbacks get drafted at later ages and still perform really well on their next level. Warren Moon, Jeff Garcia, Steve Young, Kurt Warner. Those are guys that got going later in their career and didn't get the keys to their franchise till they were about 30 years old. Coming in at pick 21, the LA Chargers are on the clock, and I have them selecting defensive tackle Kalijah Kancey out of Pittsburgh. The Chargers' interior defensive line was abysmal last year, right? Sebastian Joseph was up and down at times, and Jerry Tillery ended up getting cut. So you bring in someone like Kalijah Kancey to really shore up that defensive line. You compare him alongside guys like Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. I think this defensive line for the Chargers will be way better this upcoming season. Coming in at pick 22, the Baltimore Ravens are on the clock, and they have them going wide receiver Zay Flowers out of Boston College. Yes, the Ravens did bring in OBJ, and they did bring in Nelson Aguilar this offseason as well, but you need more weapons. There's nothing wrong with adding more weapons. If you have Rashad Bateman, OBJ, Zay Flowers, and Devin Duvernay in this wide receiver core to go alongside Mark Andrews, and there's a strong feeling that Lamar Jackson will be coming back, with Todd Monken being the OC, this offense will be something the Baltimore faithful has not seen in the Lamar Jackson era. I believe this would be an amazing pickup for the Ravens if they go Zay Flowers right here. Coming in at pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock, and I have them going wide receiver as well, but Quentin Johnston out of TCU. Minnesota Vikings decided to move on from Adam Thielen, and all you have is Justin Jefferson and KJ Osborne. Basically, two receivers that do the same thing, and of course, Justin Jefferson's an elite talent, but KJ Osborne is no scrub either. But drafting Quentin Johnston brings a different element to this offense. You would have a receiver in Quentin Johnston who is 6'3", that can go up there and catch the 50-50 contested balls, be an ultra red zone threat, and also take the top off the defense with his speed. Here we are at pick 24, my Jacksonville Jaguars on the clock, and I have them going safety Brian Branch out of Alabama. The Jaguars secondary was laughable at times last year, right? They're one of the league's worst, and it wasn't because they had bad players. They just got picked apart because of their defense played so much soft cushion. They also had edge rushers like Trayvon Walker and Josh Allen dropping back in coverage because they didn't have enough DBs, in my opinion, to really get out there and cover slot receivers and also your tight ends. But if you draft someone like Branch who played the Minkah Fitzpatrick role at Alabama, someone that was versatile, playing box safety, came down and rushed the passer at times, and also matched up against the slot receivers on the opposing offenses. Brian Branch showcases so much versatility. I believe he'll be an amazing pickup for the Jaguars. Coming in at pick 25, you have the New York Giants, the G-Men, and I have them going wide receiver Jordan Addison out of USC. General Manager Joe Schoen has done an amazing job of piecing together an offense to really help his quarterback in Daniel Jones. He franchised tag Saquon Barkley. He brought back Sterling Shepard, Darius Slayton. You already have Isaiah Hodgins on the roster, and you also traded for Darren Waller, a versatile tight end that can really be a difference maker in Brian Daboll's offense. However, you're still missing a true wide receiver one, in my opinion. Jordan Addison showcases those abilities to be that guy on the next level. You've seen him at Pitt when he won the Biletnikoff. You also seen him this year, the damage he did with USC and Caleb Williams. I believe this would be an exceptional pickup for the Giants, something they desperately need as well. Coming in at pick 26, the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, and I have them going linebacker Trenton Simpson out of Clemson. At pick 27, the Buffalo Bills are on the clock, and I have them selecting offensive guard Osiris Torrance out the University of Florida. Let's face it, during the playoffs, Josh Allen was getting pressure left and right from that Bengals front four, right? They couldn't block anybody, but bringing in someone like Osiris Torrance would be a chess move, something that Sean McDermott should definitely be looking at to add to this offensive line. At pick 28, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and I have them going tackle Darnell Wright out of Tennessee. The Bengals need to protect Joe Burrow. Enough of it, man. They already have the weapons offensively. You got Orlando Brown Jr. in free agency. He's going to be your left tackle. Bring in Darnell Wright to lock up that right side of the line. You'll have two bookend tackles in Orlando Brown and Darnell Wright. At pick 29, the New Orleans Saints are on the clock, and I have them going defensive tackle Brian Bryce out of Clemson. The Saints lost a plethora of defensive tackles and interior rushers this offseason. Brian Bryce has the ability, and he's versatile enough to line up inside and outside. I do believe he'll translate more to a more interior rusher. I believe this would be an amazing pickup for the New Orleans Saints at a position of need. Coming in at 30, the Philadelphia Eagles are back on the clock, and I have them drafting Deonte Banks, cornerback out of Maryland. And to cap off this NFL mock draft, at pick 31, the Kansas City Chiefs, I have them selecting edge rusher Nolan Smith out of Georgia. The Chiefs look as if right now they would not be bringing back Frank Clark, so their only proven edge rusher on the team is going to be George Karlaftis. They had Chris Jones playing edge at times this season, and it worked out. However, you do not want him playing edge majority of snaps. You bring in someone like Nolan Smith, who's a specimen that can possibly develop into something very special on the next level. But that about do it. That is my official final mock draft of this season. I really appreciate y'all for sticking to this video. Like this video. I repeat, like this video. Subscribe to the channel and turn on post notifications, of course. But until next time, that is a wrap.